In metaphysics, we use language in very precise ways. Words that we could use interchangeably in casual discussions will take on clear distinctions in metaphysics. This precision does allow us to make minute distinctions, though, that would not be possible otherwise. It probably also makes us a little annoying to non-philosophers as well. Hi, I'm Mindy Mandell. In this video, I'm going to go through sets of words that are commonly used interchangeably, and I'm going to make my best attempt at clarifying the differences among them. The first set of words that I will focus on is one and unity. Now, this set is so confusing that even many translators use them interchangeably. A tart seems like a good example of one, but to a Platonist, this is a unity. It is a combination of fruit and sugar and other things, and the crusts made from flour and butter and so on. So it is not a pure one. The same with a smartphone. It is made one through a unity of its parts. And I cannot actually show you a photo of a pure one. Anything physical is made up of particles. A pure one, though, is something that you can only see with the mind. A circle is a common symbol of a pure one, but the circle on paper or here on your screen falls short of the true circle, and it falls far short of the one that the circle symbolizes. Along the same lines, we often use whole and all interchangeably. And in casual conversations, this makes total sense. If the pizza is gone by the time you arrive, are you going to debate whether your friends ate the whole pizza or ate all of it? But in metaphysics, these distinctions are important. Platonists love to group things in threes. We talk about what truly is as having being. It has life or a power to it, a vitality to it, and it has some sort of intellectual activity. We also talk about what is as abiding in its own unity, as proceeding away, and then the act of reverting to its cause. Now, these are three aspects of reality. The three corners of this triangle do not represent things that are actually separate from each other. As the abiding term, it is undifferentiated in its three aspects. As proceeding, it is in the process of differentiating. And it reverts as that which is differentiated. The undifferentiated, then, at the top of the triangle here, we can call a unity of its three aspects. And that, again, is the distinction between unity and one. That which is in the process of differentiating, it's less unified, but it is still a whole. Whereas we can make distinctions in that which is differentiated, and so we call this the all. So basically, we refer to the whole when we are talking about that middle term in its singularity of power. Such as Proclus did in Proposition 52 of his Elements of Theology, which reads, "All that is eternal is a simultaneous whole." And he starts off his explanation by explaining that if its existence alone be eternal, that existence is simultaneously present in its entirety. There is not one part of it which has already emerged and another which will emerge later, but as yet is not. So eternity is not broken up into past, present, and future. It is what Proclus is calling here a simultaneous whole. Now, I'm not going to read the entire proposition, but of course you can pause to read or take a screenshot. I'm going to jump to the last line, Here Proclus ends his explanation by stating that eternity is the cause of things existing as wholes, inasmuch as all that is eternal in its existence or in its activity has the whole of its existence or activity simultaneously present to it. So that is the whole. The all, on the other hand, can be distinguished by its parts, and I will draw again from Proclus. Here's a quote from his Theology of Plato. In this section, Proclus distinguishes the whole from the all. He writes, "Whole is adapted to have a subsistence prior to the all, since the all is a whole, but whole is not necessarily all. For the all is divided multitude, but that which contains multitude in itself, and which is not yet separated, is whole." An easy way to distinguish whole from all is to simply come at it from the perspective of grammar. This is probably the easiest way to explain it. We use whole with singular nouns. A whole pizza, a whole family, a whole book. So when we talk about a whole, we are referring to the singularity of the parts collectively. But when we use all, we follow it with a plural noun, like all the pieces of the pizza, all the kids in the family, all the pages in the book. So we can make these nuanced distinctions by referring to either whole or to all. In metaphysics as well, we can make nuanced distinctions by distinguishing whole from all, and also unity and one as well. Here's another set of words that can be used interchangeably in casual conversations, but not in metaphysics. Being and existence. Sometimes you will hear them used interchangeably even in metaphysics, but when we're being precise, they are different. Many a philosophical discussion has been launched by the question, does God exist? Well, if we are being precise, we would have to look at how we are using the word exist, because it often refers to that which is perpetually changing in time. Because to exist implies being in process. Platonic metaphysics distinguishes the eternal realms, what you might call the divine realms, from the temporal realms, our physical world. Now, earlier in the video, we saw Proclus's definition of eternity as a simultaneous whole. It is simultaneous, so it is beyond time. It is not broken up into past, present, and future. But our physical world is different. It is in time. As a realm, this too is infinite, but we would say that it is the whole of time. Because whereas the eternal realm is unchanging, the temporal realm is perpetually in process. Eternity cannot change. Change requires time. Nothing can change outside of time. But that is not so for the temporal realm. Here, things are perpetually changing. Nothing can stay the same. And so this gives us two more words to add to our little dictionary: eternal and perpetual. Eternal refers to things which always are. They are unchanging being and beyond time. Whereas perpetual refers to things in process, things that are always in the process of coming to be. And when we are being precise, it is in this realm of coming to be that we use the word exist. Because it is here that we can talk about things having a beginning and an end. They never simply are. They are always in process, and so in a state that is not called being, but rather coming to be. So we don't use the word being to talk of things in process, but we can say that they exist. Now I want to look at one more set of words, and this builds on everything I've been talking about so far in this video. Destiny versus fate. I think we've all been guilty of using them interchangeably, and some spiritual systems would perhaps have no problem with this. Sometimes we use destiny to refer to accomplishing our dreams or finding the love of our lives, whereas fate often carries a negative connotation, such as someone being described as fated to repeat the mistakes of their parents. I think these uses actually intuit the distinction made between these two concepts in Platonism, but they're not precise. They're not really understood. The difference is often more of a feeling than anything else. Actually, fate doesn't have to be negative in the sense of suffering or being unhappy. The vast majority of people around you are living in accordance with fate, as Platonists would use that word. We come into each lifetime with a certain disposition, and our lives unfold from there. Of course we have free will, but we can see that our choices are affected by the way we were brought up and our family's belief system and so on. We are limited by our societies, not in a way that most people would call tragic, but limited all the same. We're living within the parameters of socially accepted definitions of what it means to be human and what happiness is. And this is fate. However, we always have the power to challenge our conditioning. We can choose to turn inward and question what we truly are, what our essence truly is. It would be something like jumping outside of the maze and seeing the whole of it. From that vantage point, we would see clearly what all the parts are and how they fit together, and we could direct our lives in accordance with truth instead of according to the dictates of conditioning. Plato presented this mythologically in his dialogue The Statesman as the age of Chronos, or intelligible intellect. Such an intellectual life is one in which we recognize that there is a providential order in the divine, and we would desire to live by its guidance. This is the life of philosophy, exemplified by Socrates in Plato's dialogues. Socrates famously said that a life without philosophy is not worth living. And for both Socrates and Plato, the aim of philosophy, to live in the so-called age of Chronos, is to become as like God as is humanly possible. And this is the destiny of all humans. In contrast to the age of Chronos, Plato gave us the age of Zeus. Zeus, too, like his father, is a great intellectual god. However, he rules over the mundane realms, this physical world that moves in time, that never truly is, but is perpetually coming to be. And this is the world where fate plays itself out. So these are a few sets of words that Platonists use in a very specific way. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this presentation, and also if there are any other sets of words that you would like me to cover in a future video. Perhaps this video will be volume 1. Oh, and hitting the like button would be much appreciated. Thank you.